Hey guys, Sean here. So how big do you want your gold and silver stack to be? 100 ounces? 1000 ounces? You know, it's really easy to buy your first gold or silver coin, but can you go the distance and build a stack 5 or 10 years down the road that you can be proud of? Now, I understand that it's getting harder and harder to stack today with gold and silver prices going through the roof, but if you are serious about building long-term wealth, you need to find a way. There are many stackers I know who started around the same time as me, but they either quit or sold off all their gold and silver when the market dropped by 10 or 20%. Now, I believe the greatest hurdle when it comes to stacking is not how big your wallet is, but how tough your mindset is. I started back in 2013 by buying my first silver coin, and just in silver alone, I'm over 1000 ounces easily today, and I really want to help you to do the same. And in this video, I want to share how you can develop a rock solid mindset to become the top 1% of stackers who understands the big picture and never quits. Now, there are many reasons why people invest and stack precious metals, and I want us to focus on the most important two, and that is protecting against inflation and having private wealth outside of the financial system. Officially, the inflation rate today is at a 40-year high of 7.9%, but let's be real here, it feels double that amount at least, especially when we are buying food or pumping gas. Now, this is only going to get worse, and I think we are going to be heading for stagflation, where our wages barely rise and the economy won't really grow, but inflation is sky high. This to me is one of the biggest reasons why I am stacking gold and silver, and I want you to keep this in mind. So if you have $10,000 sitting in cash today, there is a real good chance by 2030 you would have lost over half of its purchasing power, right? The Fed and the US government aren't financially responsible anymore, and I don't think there will be a U-turn. We might have just gone past the point of no return. And this brings me to the second reason of stacking, and that is to really build private wealth. Right now, we can still stack gold and silver relatively easily. You can walk into a coin shop or order online from a dealer and get gold and silver delivered to you. Zero paperwork needed, plus you don't need to open any fancy brokerage account with tons of background checks. But I think things are going to get harder down the road where every transaction is going to be tracked sooner or later. We already know that Biden was planning to track all transactions $600 and above, and CBDCs or central bank digital currencies are on its way. So how long can our wealth really stay private? And that is one big motivation that I have burned into my mind, and it is to stack while there's still time. You know, I don't know about you, but I want my money to stay as private as possible. And gold and silver is truly decentralized wealth outside of the financial system. And I don't care if you're a lover of Bitcoin or your portfolio is full of stocks, they are all in the system, and that is why I always dedicate a portion of my savings or investment money into gold and silver. Without fail, every single month or quarter, I buy. Now, I believe another big mindset hurdle tons of people have is the idea of striking the big one with gold and silver. Now, gold and silver isn't Bitcoin or some penny stock that will 10x your money in a month. It won't happen, and I think many new stackers just don't understand the concept of risk and reward today. Anything that has a higher return, such as cryptos or stocks, also have a higher chance of crashing, and the magnitude of the crash can also be more severe. Precious metals isn't a get rich quick scheme. Its primary purpose is to preserve wealth, and this is one of the core instruments to really build generational wealth. Why do you think gold and silver was used as money for thousands of years, right? It's because of its ability to hold value over long periods of time. Now, this 1 ounce gold coin over here holds more or less the same value as one 500 years ago. You cannot say the same with paper money, right? Now, if we just look back at history, I could buy a single family house for 250 ounces of gold across many points in time, you know, like in the 1930s, 1980, and from 2008 till today, right? Roughly around there. But in terms of dollars, the same house has risen from 64,000 all the way to $400,000 in just 40 years. But when pricing gold, the house stays relatively the same. And that is the big issue we must all remember, right? We cannot simply save dollars. The real interest rates are negative, and that means we are losing purchasing power every single year. Yeah, sure, you can invest in the stock market, but it is really getting highly speculative in our bubble economy, right? And things like Bitcoin, they are really just crapshoots if you want to be real. And where else can you put your money into, right? NFTs? And that is why gold and silver stackers keep stacking year after year. They understand there's value in wealth preservation, and precious metals are powerful assets that can't be debased through money printing. It's no surprise that the biggest stackers in the world, central banks, have been increasing their gold holdings for years and decades. It is no accident. I believe one of the biggest issues many new stackers have is not accepting that gold and silver, especially silver, can be volatile. That means there can be swings of 10% up and down in just a matter of days, and I believe it will only get worse as the price climbs higher. You cannot get affected by it, and you need to think in terms of years or even a decade, right? Now, if we take a look at the historical price of gold, we can see that it has been trending higher from $250 back in 2000 all the way to over $1,900 today, but the road here hasn't been smooth. 10 or 20% in crashes are normal. There has always been some violent spike up, and then a crash, some consolidation, and then another big jump in price. So always remind yourself of the big picture and don't let just a sliver in time sway you. I know part of you wants the price of gold and silver to spike, and another part of you wants it to stay low so you can stack more. But either way, you can't really control or predict anything, especially in the short term. A worldwide crisis or conflict can suddenly erupt from nowhere within a matter of days, and that's why I personally don't dabble in options, because even if you can get the price and the direction right, you cannot be a master of time. It is often time that screws a lot of investors, and that's why you need to stop trying to time the market and just develop holding power. The superior mindset is to understand and accept these price swings. You are not God, you aren't the Wolf of Wall Street or Ray Dalio. Timing the market won't be a good move, and that is why I really advocate to dollar cost average your way into gold and silver, right? It can be setting aside some money every month so that you can really build up a stack gradually over time. This will really help you smooth out the highs and lows and let you capture a nice average price. But best of all, it helps keep you grounded and disciplined. It really helps to remove the emotion and builds your patience when it comes to investing. It's the same thing with this YouTube channel, right? I only make 2 or 3 videos a week and I keep things consistent. Any more and I'll overwork myself, anything less and I won't really be able to cover enough important topics. But there's also another mindset I want us to develop a bit here, right? And that is the opportunist mindset of being ready to grab great deals and discounts. The great thing about a volatile market is that it can fall easily by 10 or even 20% in the short term. And this is why I personally keep some dry powder or cash ready for those purchases to so-called buy the dip, right? So you might really want to consider building an emergency stacking fund, as weird as it sounds, to really capture bargains and massive dips down, as well as discounts from all the retailers out there. So what I do is every time I spend a large amount of money, say a $100 bill, I tend to tuck away some of the smaller $5 or $10 notes in a drawer, right? So if a big drop happens, I do have some additional cash on hand that I can deploy without touching my other investment money. So if nothing happens, it just sits there, it snowballs, it builds. And there are even some more advanced stacking strategies that rich people can use to get even richer, right? It has something to do with borrowing against their precious metals, and if you want to learn more about it, leave me a comment below. Now, even with all the strategies above, it is still easy to lose motivation and jump to that new shiny thing. And I think this is a big reason why many stackers can't seem to stay on track. It is great having a sense of accomplishment, seeing your stack grow. Yes, it looks awesome, but it is not enough for the long game. A much better way is to focus on a key reason why you are stacking. And at the end of the day, there are only 3 reasons why we stack. Now, the first is stacking for an emergency situation. You are building your emergency stack. Now, the prepper deep in us knows that something in the economy is not really right, and we need some private wealth within reach, right? This is pure survival, and remembering this will help you march towards your stacking goals better. So it could be 6, 12, or 18 months worth of income in gold and silver. Now, the second camp which I belong to is for diversification and wealth preservation, right? I've been stacking for almost a decade, and my focus here is to really build wealth outside of the financial system, away from paper assets. So it's really easy for me to preserve wealth, protect against inflation, and really hold value until I see a great opportunity to deploy it, right? Maybe it's real estate or to grab cheap stocks when the time comes. But what I focus here is on wealth preservation. And the final camp is to build generational wealth. Now, this is stacking for your children and your children's children. You want your gold and silver stack to outlive you, and I think as time goes on, it will get harder to invest into precious metals. There could be capital controls coming, your money could be tracked, or maybe it's just simply the price of gold and silver rising out of reach. So if you are building legacy wealth that you can pass down, this might be the final generation that you can do it fairly easily, while the price isn't still ridiculous yet. Now, everyone is different, and you really need to focus on what drives you. Building an impressive stack is all about making progress and keeping that progress. You really need to feed that motivation fire no matter how small the steps are, and that means living responsibly. Now, many stackers believe that gold and silver are still underpriced, but the market can be wrong longer than you can be solvent. That means the price of gold and silver can really stay stagnant for long periods of time. I'm talking about 5 and 10 years. Can you stay the course for that long, or do you need to suddenly sell off your metals halfway to pay your bills? And that's why I am very big on getting your life in order first before you even think about precious metals, right? That means always setting aside enough money for your essentials. I'm talking about food, utilities, and mortgage first. And only when you have excess money, then you can put it into gold and silver. If you do things this way, you won't be in a position where you are forced to liquidate your metals and suffer a loss and really lose out on potential gains, right? Because you won't know when the big run-up will be. It could be 2 years later, right after you sell. You want to stand firm on your position and really only sell when you want to. And this brings me to my final point, right? You never ever want to stack using credit cards or loans. Taking on fixed percentage debt to stack gold and silver is going to be real dangerous, right? You never know when gold and silver will spike up, and if you sell within a few weeks or months, chances are you will lose out on a physical premium as well, right? And suddenly now you're down 5 to 20% thanks to the physical premiums, and you have your interest due. And this is a really terrible position to be in. Remember guys, precious metals is not a place to chase returns or to earn any income from. There are 1,001 better ways to make money, learn a new skill, start a business, get a promotion. Just don't try to change gold and silver into something that it is not. Right now, I think we are at the calm before the storm. Recent events have shown us the importance of physical precious metals that we can hold, and this just means sooner or later, a lot of people will start piling in. When I first started stacking silver, the premiums were only around 10 to 15% tops, but demand has grown so much that this silver maple today has a premium of anywhere from 20 to 25%. And this is only going to rise higher, and this is something we all need to accept. Yes, we can get great deals here and there, but 5 or 10 years down the road, I think premiums on physical gold and silver will continue to rise. There's going to be an eventual rush to hard assets, especially when currencies can suddenly get devalued or face a crisis. In Russia, we are already seeing the demands for physical gold explode as the ruble fell almost 30% to the US dollar. People are literally opening up precious metals accounts and rushing towards gold. And this is why I think we need to stay the course and maintain discipline in stacking. You want to be ready for such an event if it happens, and buy now while there still isn't chaos on the streets with everyone rushing to their dealers, right? Because if that happens, I can virtually guarantee you that either there will be a shortage of physical metal to stack, or the premiums will be ridiculously high. So continue to invest and stack when there's still time. I really believe that anyone can truly build a stack they can be proud of, whether you just want 1,000 ounces of silver or ambitious goal of 100 ounces of gold, you can make it, right? It's really about hardening your mind, accepting the realities of the world, and changing the way you see gold, silver, and investments in general. And that's the primary reason why this channel is about gold and silver first, because I truly believe it is the foundation layer of wealth building. Things are really gonna get more chaotic, the world is looking more and more uncertain, and inflation is still sky high. And that is why I still default back to gold and silver to protect my wealth, plus they are awesome to look at as well. So there you have it guys, let me know about your stacking journey. Are you staying strong and stacking for the long term, or are you feeling impatient and you're stopping for the time being? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe for more gold and silver videos. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you soon.